The Global Times is not an official mouthpiece for the Chinese government but who is close to the foreign ministry and an important part of China's propaganda machinery. It has led the attack on Canada over the arrest of Huawei chief financial officer Meng Wanzhou. The reference to Yang, who traveled on an Australian passport, restoring his Chinese nationality, appears to refer to a controversy in 2015 when a Shanghai scholar claimed online that Yang had accepted an amnesty and pledged loyalty to the CCP. The BBC reported the controversy on its Chinese service in May 2015. Defense Minister Christopher Pyne in China. Credit. Sangdilut Global Times editorial said Chinese liberals had accused Yang of surrendering to the CCP. There are some issues about him that the outside world finds hard to understand quickly, the editorial said. Yang was not a prominent liberal, and his public writing was unlikely to have caused a problem, but he had been in contact with some people in China, the editorial said. There were no public indications during Defense Minister Christopher Pyne's two-day visit to China that Yang's arrest was linked to Australia's decision to ban Huawei from the 5G network or support for Canada. Australian Minister of Defence Christopher Pyne, right, and Chinese Minister of National Defence Wei Feng, center, reviewing the PLA Guards of Honour in Beijing. Credit. Fairfax Media. Pyne was told by his Chinese counterpart General Wei Feng during the meeting that he would seek more information on the Australians' situation. Mr. Pyne urged Chinese officials to treat Mr. Yang fairly and transparently and allow the Australian embassy to give consular assistance to Mr. Yang without delay. He is being held at a secret location in Beijing under national security laws. A spokeswoman for Mr. Pyne said General Wei had replied that Mr. Yang would be treated well, but Amnesty International's East Asia Research Director Joshua Rosenzweig said there was cause for serious concern over Yang's well-being. With no contact with the outside world, Yang Hangjun is at grave risk of torture and other ill treatment, he said. Residential surveillance had been regularly used for activists, human rights lawyers and government critics under sweeping national security provisions in Chinese law. The type of location can vary from a hotel room to a state security facility, according to human rights group Duihua. A lawyer acting for Mr. Yang, Mo Xiaoping, says there is no automatic right to a lawyer in Chinese national security cases, and detention with no family contact can last for 6 months. Charges are yet to be laid against Mr. Yang, who has been held for questioning since arriving in China from New York on January 19. The China Daily newspaper reported that Mr. Pyne had also met General Xu Qiliang, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, who had said he hopes Australia will rationally perceive China's strategic intent and expand practical exchanges and cooperation. A brief report on Yang's detention in China Daily stated China's foreign ministry had publicly confirmed that he was suspected of engaging in criminal activities that endangered China's national security, and his case was under investigation.